Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about Ethereum and why it's a good time to get into Ethereum and start learning about the Ethereum project.
And today I hope to share with you my thoughts and ideas as to why Ethereum is poised for takeoff. Not just in terms of price as a token, but in terms of the network, the ecosystem, and the potential to change business and society. So stay tuned for more on that. Now, many crypto investors look at coins and look at price. And while Ethereum is basically the second largest coin, the Ether coin on top of it by market cap, that's not the reason why you should be excited about Ethereum right now. In this video, I will talk about why 2020 is going to be a massive year for Ethereum and why now's the time to learn about Ethereum, learn about the network, the ecosystem, decentralized finance, and all of these great things, because you want to be here when it hits, okay? So Ethereum is basically the world's computer. That is the project that started when Vitalik launched the white paper. He wanted a blockchain like the Bitcoin blockchain that he saw, but with the ability to execute code. Ethereum is sometimes called the world's virtual machine. Now I'm going to outline a few reasons why I think Ethereum will really take off in 2020 and why this could impact the price of Ether if you're an investor, but it could also be very exciting for you if you're simply into the technology and it provides you with opportunities. You may want to be an Ethereum Solidity developer if you're a young guy looking to get into the world of technology. Now, the first thing to consider is that when Ethereum 1 launched, Vitalik said Ethereum 1 is just a bunch of guys trying to create the world's computer. Ethereum 2.0 will be the first working version of that world's computer. And that's what's so exciting. In 2020, in early 2020, we will see the first implementation of Ethereum 2.0. So, reason one, why should you be into Ethereum now, heading into 2020? Proof of stake is near. Without getting too technical, proof of work is the consensus mechanism that allowed us to mine cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum up to now. However, when Ethereum goes onto Ethereum 2.0, which we are just months away right now at the end of 2019, we're going to see a shift to proof of stake. It will be gradual, but it's going to happen. What that means is you won't be able to mine Ethereum anymore. You will have to stake Ethereum that you already own in order to earn rewards and earn more Ethereum. What do you think is going to happen to the price of Ether when that happens? Right? You won't be able to mine this anymore. You can only buy Ether, and if you own Ether already, stake it and earn more. There's gonna be an impact on price, and I think at least in the short term, it will be hugely positive. So if you're an investor, remember they are investors in cryptocurrency, they are technologists, and you might be a bit of both, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being in it as just as an investor. But if you are an investor, think about what's going to happen in early 2020. We're going to see the Beacon chain launch, which is the first testnet of Ethereum 2.0. However, we will eventually get to a point where once the tests are successful, we fully move to proof of stake. I don't think that will be early in 2020. So you've still got time. While you've got time, you need to stack up on your Ether to be ready for proof of stake. And that's the first reason why you should start studying Ethereum now and start getting into Ethereum. This is a massive opportunity that you don't want to miss. Before I move on to point number two, I just want to say, so you need 32 Ethereum to stake, okay? And that's fine if you're running your own node. I would say that it might be a little bit risky as we don't know how it works. You could take the chance if you want to, if you have lots of Ethereum. But we're going to see staking pools come about. Staking pools mean you join a pool with X number of Ethereum, perhaps 5, perhaps 10, and you're willing to stake that amount and see how the process works and earn your rewards. This sounds like a great idea to me, a lot safer, less risky, especially in the beginning phases. So you may not need 32 to stake if you join a staking pool. Now, there's even talk of decentralized staking pools coming out. I think there's one called Rocket Pool, but the exchanges and the current pools, mining pools, will no doubt transition to staking pools. So these are the things you need to do your research on now to be ready for when proof of stake hits sometime in 2020. Reason 2 why you want to be learning about Ethereum right now. 2020 is the year when we first start seeing the fruits of the developers' labor in terms of scaling realized on the Ethereum network. Ethereum has more activity from a development perspective, from a future roadmap perspective, than any blockchain that I've seen, right? Not even Bitcoin. In fact, Bitcoin, people talk mostly about Schnorr signatures and Lightning, which is an off-chain solution. With Ethereum, everything is happening on-chain. There are off-chain solutions coming for greater scalability with regards to Ethereum, but the great news is that when we talk scalability in the future of Ethereum, we're talking on-chain upgrades. So what's going to happen in addition to proof of stake? We will start hearing more and more about the sharding proposal. Once again, this is something that will roll out over a few years. What sharding essentially means is that the blockchain will be split into shards. And this will allow pieces of the blockchain to be validated in parallel by groups, well, right now of miners, but we will be moving probably to proof of stake by then. So validation by stakers. This will enable massive scale, much more than we have today. And we need this because what they're building is effectively the world's computer, a global Ethereum virtual machine. The most exciting project. I mean, I would go so far to say this. The Ethereum project is probably the biggest, most important, most exciting technological project being worked on in the world at the moment. And it's very, very exciting for all of us, right? So even if you're just a technologist, you want to be up to speed on what's going on with the Ethereum project. Reason 3 why you need to learn about Ethereum today and why it's going to be so important. There was a famous guy in the tech industry, I should know him, who said, developers, developers, developers. Ethereum has probably the most amount of developer activity when compared to any other blockchain project. Now, I know this is debatable. There are other smart contract platforms who will come to you and say, we have more developers, we have more dApps. And certainly the stats change from month to month. You see other blockchains like Tron with more dApps and more usage. But clearly, if you look at the big scenarios, if you look at decentralized finance, known as DeFi, the most amount of activity is happening on Ethereum. Compound, Maker. If you don't know what I'm talking about with these two words, go and learn about them. Go and learn about decentralized finance. Now's the time when you want to be in this space, right? But the really exciting thing is, we could make a video for an hour just on decentralized finance. But that's not what Ethereum is all about. That is just a piece. The world's computer, the Ethereum virtual machine, will eventually scale to bring not just decentralized finance, decentralized supply chain, decentralized healthcare, decentralized education. That's how big this thing has the potential to actually be. And that's why I'm calling it, you can remember this video, the Ethereum virtual machine is the world's most exciting technological project being worked upon now anywhere in the world of technology. And that's why it's so exciting. So at the time of recording this video, I checked some of the decentralized finance stats. I'll share some graphs with you on screen probably right now, and I'll share in the links some sites. But according to DeFi Pulse, over $600 million is currently locked on the decentralized finance portion of Ethereum. More than half of that is locked into Maker. So Maker is really one of the early organizations, autonomous organizations, that's doing great stuff and could be a force to reckon with. Collateral, loans, escrow, finance directly to the individual, cutting out the middleman. There's also something called DAI, which is a stable coin built on top of Ethereum, backed by Ether, which provides a stable way for collateral, for finance, for lending on these decentralized contracts. Maker alone and DAI alone are worthy of investigation, right? And once again, all these things are already looking to show so much of potential and be potentially so successful, and it's backed by Ether and Ethereum. So what does that say about Ether and Ethereum? What does that mean? It means it's a hell of a safe bet right now. Now I want to talk about something else. If you are a price guy, if you don't really care about the technology, consider the fact that at the time of recording, Ethereum is about $180. And if you feel that based on the decentralized finance piece that's happening, decentralized supply chain, all the other market segments that have yet to come on board, based on the scaling that's going to happen, based on the Ethereum 2.0 proof of stake, it's going to be good for global power consumption, and you're going to get more organizations coming on board. You've seen mega corporates like Microsoft and EY come on board and use the technology and develop for the technology. You might say, well, if we go 10 times that, we're going to go to $1,800, which is very reasonable. It hit about $1,500 at the last bull run. If you double that to $3,600, that also sounds reasonable. I've seen predictions hitting $5,000. I've seen predictions hitting $10,000. I guess it'll all depend on the amount of supply that we have. But if you look at $3,600, where we are today, that's a 20 times return on your investment. And if you're a money guy, if you're just in blockchain for the potential gains, there's a very easy path to your 20 times return on an investment there. It's very feasible given the activity and the work being done, the amount of developers and the amount of organizations coming up right now. Now, another thing I want to talk about is that even if you don't like Ethereum and you like Bitcoin, you should buy Ethereum. I released a few videos in 2019 where I spoke about how Ethereum, based on its undervaluation at the moment, will actually allow you to get Bitcoin for half price or even a third of the price. So I came up with this equation called Tavesh's equation, which shows that even if you're a Bitcoin fan, the undervaluation of Ethereum, for whatever reason, based on sentiment perhaps, its undervaluation with regards to Bitcoin and the US dollar is an exciting opportunity for you. Even if you want to buy Bitcoin, you invest in Ethereum and you can swap it out to Bitcoin when the ratio goes higher and higher. It's currently at about 0.02. I actually called the bottom 2 months ago at 0.016. I sent out a tweet and I said, this is the bottom and this is when you need to get in. I'll put my tweet up on screen right now so you can have a look. But I think from now, that ratio is only going to get better. To explain this very quickly, if the ratio is 0.02 right now, and if you buy Ethereum, right, and if you actually want Bitcoin, when that ratio goes to 0.04, you swap it out for Bitcoin, you will effectively get the Bitcoin for half the price as opposed to just buying the Bitcoin at that point in time. Okay? So that is a massive opportunity for you. Buy Ethereum. This is the power of the Ethereum virtual machine. It even makes Bitcoin cheaper for you. I just presented a few thoughts on why right now, I'm not even talking about investing. I'm saying that right now is the time to learn about Ethereum. It's going to be big. We're just a few months away from 2020, the new decade, and the 2020s will be the decade of Ethereum. This is a prediction I'm making. And I make a lot of predictions and I sometimes get them right. I predicted the bottom of the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. I'm predicting that decentralized finance is going to take off. I'm predicting that $180, you will easily see a 20 times return on your investment to $3,600. Some people are saying $5,000, some people are saying $10,000. The value per ether. I will caution you, it does depend on supply. But I'm saying that the most exciting technological project of our time period right now, of the next 5 years, not even quantum computing, because that's still coming and we're still very early there. But this global autonomous machine, Ethereum, the world's computer, if they get the scaling right, and it's really about the scaling, the support, the developers are all there. If they get the scaling right, this is going to be the big news ticket in the world of technology and business in the 2020s. Now's the time not just to invest in Ethereum, but perhaps if you're a developer, learn Solidity. If you're looking to start up some kind of company, consider what ideas you can bring to the table in the decentralized world. We've only just scratched the surface. One last point on price. Some people look at the Ethereum price and it's been too up and down. And I remember in December 2018, people were saying it's heading to zero. Remember, how many of you remember there were so many news articles in December 2018 saying this thing's headed to zero? I keep saying to you, zoom out. When you look at Bitcoin, people say zoom out. Many people, when it comes to Bitcoin, talk about a 4-year cycle. And only now, Bitcoin's been around for about 10, 11 years. Only now can we see the parabolic curve and the parabolic pattern. Here's something interesting. If you look at what's going on with Ethereum, we are very early in that parabolic curve. We may get a very similar motion, which makes it even more exciting for you if you're an investor. Once again, depending on things like supply. Okay, there's still a few unanswered questions. But if the Ethereum curve follows a very similar curve to the Bitcoin charts, then this is your early opportunity. So many of us say, why didn't we get in earlier at Bitcoin? Around about 2011, 2012. We knew about it. We were in the tech industry, or you follow the news. You probably heard about it, but you didn't do anything. And in 2017, in December, so many of us said, well, we regret not getting in. Where we are now could be for Ethereum where Bitcoin was in 2012, 2013. And you need to start watching that curve over the next year or 2 to 3 years. And I think it's going to be a very similar cycle, that logarithmic curve. And if so, the opportunity is massive, okay? And it's backed by so many fundamentals, which I've covered in this video. So I'll end there. I'm just going to make this a short video, not too technical, but I just wanted to say, why should you be learning about Ethereum? Let me summarize. Number one, Ethereum 2.0, we've waited a couple of years for it. 2020 will be the year when we see it. Number two, we're going to be moving to proof of stake sometime in 2020. The beacon chain will launch early in 2020, probably in Jan. When that happens, you cannot mine Ethereum anymore. You have to buy it. What will that do for price? You tell me. Number three, developers. There's so much developer activity on this platform, which is very good for the platform. Number four, scalability is coming. Number five, decentralized finance looks to already be a big thing that banks and financial institutions are taking very seriously. It's just going to boom in the 2020s. And I'm expecting, here's another prediction, to see another business area, maybe decentralized healthcare, decentralized law, legal contracts on this virtual machine. Something else will also take prominence, not games and gambling, which we've had, but there's nothing wrong with games, but we have a lot of decentralized games on the Ethereum blockchain, and those tokens sometimes are quite valuable. So anyway, I hope that helps, and I hope that was quite interesting to you. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm going to make a lot more videos on Ethereum over the next few years. Look out for those. So enjoy your day, and I'll see you very soon.